Hi guys, this is another preview of FXGL, and today I'm going to build something like Space Invaders. And yeah, that's basically it. So if I create a package called Space Invaders, it's going to be a sample game, and you'll be able to find it on the GitHub repo of FXGL. So I'm going to create a class, Space Invaders app. Extend the usual and implement a few things. Alright, in the settings, we want it to be, well, first of all, the title, Space Invaders, version, width 600, and height something longer, like 800. We will need intro or menu. What else? We don't need FPS. Yeah, that should do it. Right, let's see how it's doing. Okay, that's good. Yeah, by the way, it's using 0.1.9 snapshot, so if you want to be able to build this particular application, you'll need to use a snapshot branch of the FXGL repo. The actual version will be released sometime in late December, so probably before Christmas, just before Christmas. Alright, so we need in Space Invaders, well, there are enemies and bullets, so these are probably the only entities we'll need. Player, enemy, player bullet, enemy, bullet, and that should do for now. So if we create for, what is it, for, let's do Y. So this is a number of rows, 5 rows, and 10 columns. So it's 10 columns, and if we do 40 as the size of an entity, that should work out alright, I think. We'll need a method to create an enemy. Void spawn enemy, which will take position and that's it really. So entity enemy, new entity, type enemy, set position XY, set graphics, or is it set scene view? Alright, what do we have in our textures? Alright, I haven't got any spaceship textures. Well, I do have tanks, so I might as well use tanks. I can't be bothered finding spaceship textures right now. On the other hand, you can do that if you have time, just get online and find any spaceship texture that you want to use. Well, texture, what is it? Tank underscore enemy. Yeah, so it's going to be Earth Invaders rather than Space Invaders. Doesn't really matter. Tank enemy PNG. So yeah, from 0.1.9, this method is the preferred use of the asset loader as opposed to assets class, which no longer exists. In this version because this will now cache your calls to the disk to load the resources, and the very first time it will load from the disk, and other times it will load from cache, which is a memory cache, so it's better to use that. Alright, so set scene view, what else do we need? Get game world, add enemy. So set the position, so we need to set collidable so that we could shoot them at some point. Yeah, that will spawn our enemies. Spawn enemy X and Y. X multiplied by 40 and actually I'm not sure if the texture is 40 by 40, so I'm going to resize it just to make sure. Yep, set fit width and height, and then set the texture itself. Should be alright. Spawn enemy. Yeah, possibly give some space in between. Yeah, so we have our tanks, which are our enemies. Right, 10 didn't do much. So I'm going to use so it's x multiplied by 40 plus 10. Alright, what if we did 20? Alright, it's not yeah, that should give us a bit more space. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 and by 5. Yep, that's perfect. Although we might want to reduce the number of them because if we want to move them around or something. I suppose we can do that later. So if we create enemy control now, so we'll need a few timers because all the behavior is based on the timer. Local timer, so it's horizontal timer, horizontal movement. And vertical move timer. I could just reduce that to V timer and H timer. Mission get service, service local timer. So this is how you can obtain services now in the newer version of FXGL, as opposed to having to have an instance of game application. HTimer, VTimer, and in there we can do something like elapsed HTimer, so it's moving right or left. We need a flag, moving right, true, so by default it will start moving right. If HTimer elapsed duration seconds, 2 seconds, so this will alternate every 2 seconds. HTimer capture, we'll need to switch the flag back, and if moving right, or other entity translate moving right or not. So if we are moving right, then 1, not -1, and don't move in the y direction. As for the vertical timer, a bit more time, say 4 seconds. Then we move down, because this is what usually happens in Space Invaders game. Entity translate 0. Say if we move like 20 units. Yeah, I also wanted to rotate the thing because they appear to be. Alright, I'll do that later. Enemy control. Yeah, that should work. And we also need attack timer, because they should at some point. So attack timer. And say they shoot every 2 seconds, or at least they try to shoot every 2 seconds, but there's going to be a random checker with about 30%, and then shoot. So make sure to capture the time. Should will create, so this has to be public so we can access the type. Need to create a bullet. Type enemy bullet. Set position, so they're shooting down, which means we need to obtain entity. So the X value is going to be, actually we can do just, we can obtain center of the entity, and then add 0 and X value, because this is the center, but half of the width of the tank, which we could do dynamically, pretty much. Just get width, divide by 2. Or rather get height, because it's the Y value. Set position bullet, set collidable, true. Do we have textures for bullets? Yeah, tank bullet. Set scene view, game application, get service, So there's that asset loader. Load texture, tank, bullet, PNG. Right, we can get game world from here. Then we can get from the entity itself. Get world, because it's going to be the same world. Add entity bullet. We also need to add control to the bullet, which is, so we'll need another control here. So we can pretty much cheat, I suppose, because we already know what kind of what type the bullet is. So entity type is type, what is it? Type enemy bullet. Then we move down, else we move up. So we don't actually need to define any velocity or anything. So if it goes down, then entity move translate 0, 10, translate 0, -10. Bullet add control. New bullet control. What else? So they will hopefully shoot now. We also need a player. So spawn player. Right, spawn player. We don't really need to take any parameters because we know where to spawn the player. Actually, we'll need to have access to a player to move him. So we'll take this outside. Set position is going to be at width, divide by 2, possibly subtract 20, because it's going to be half of the texture width. And get height, -40, something like that. It's going to be something very similar. Player. We need to be able to move the player. Where's our input? There we go. Input. Get input. User action. An action. Move left. So that's player translate -50. And key code A. Key code D is the opposite, right and 5. So it also needs to be able to shoot. And this could be F. So I need to define another function, another method. Shoot. Just pretty much like this. except for that part. It's going to be player bullet. We can so it's player. Can do this directly, get game world. Can do this directly as well. Get asset loader, bullet control, everything else is the same. As for the physics, physics world, get physics world. Need to add collision handler between the type enemy bullet and type player. And another collision for player bullet and type enemy. So essentially what we do is remove that from the world and do the same with this enemy. Bullet removed from world. As for player, for now we could just print something like player got hit, because we don't yet have the score or anything like that. Let's see what we've done. Haven't placed our player yet. End game, spawn enemy, spawn player. And we also need to rotate those things. Let me set rotation. So horizontal is the 0, it's probably 90 because it's rotating that way. Right. So our shooting kind of works, a bit overpowered. We also need to rotate our player as well. Player, set rotation, minus 90. Enemy control. Yeah, I wonder if it works if we just do this. So overshoot works, but the enemies doesn't. Attack timer. That looks alright. Attack timer elapsed. Alright, we've never actually added enemy control. I don't think. Yeah. Enemy, add control, new enemy control. So that should work. If it does, I'm going to remove those things. Yeah, so they move and shoot, which is for some reason we're not getting hit. So that's going to be another problem. Player bullet, enemy bullet, player. player is player not collidable yet. So yeah, whenever we get hit, the message is printed, which is good. Also need to be able to restrict the player so that he is not going to shoot a string of bullets. We can do that by just adding begin. So it's not going to be called on key press, but on just key tap, so per physical key press. So the user will have to tap the key rather than we can restrict the number of enemies to 8 so that they don't go off screen. Yeah, that's pretty much perfect. And they do move vertically as well, which I forgot to check, but it seems to be working. Alright, so yeah, I'm not going to do UI now because we already covered how to add UI nodes and stuff. Another new feature which I'd like to cover is achievements, which is a new thing in one of the latest versions of FXGL. So what you need to do is overwrite this method which says you need achievements, and what you need to do is obtain achievement manager, which may not be called achievement manager when the stuff is actually released. So yeah, just look out for achievement stuff. You'll first need to create an achievement, new achievement, which takes the name, say score or hitman. So it's going to be the name of our achievement. Description, score, or destroy 5 enemies. We're going to register the achievement here. In the initialize game, we're going to achievement manager get achievement by name. So this should be hitman, exactly the same as the name of the achievement. And this is where we can bind achievement property to something that we want to be true, which is essentially destroy 5 enemies. So we'll need an integer property to count number of enemies killed. We'll call it enemies destroyed. So I'm going to initialize it here. By default, it's going to be 0. We bind to enemies destroyed greater than, or actually greater than or equal to. So the greater than isn't really necessary here because the achievement is going to be called only once when you actually achieve the thing, and afterwards it doesn't track the listener, so it doesn't really matter. We're equal to 5, and when we destroy an enemy, we increase enemies destroyed by 1. So set enemies destroyed get +1. And that should work, hopefully. Let's try it and see if it does. So we need to destroy 5 of these things. Yep, there you go. It says you got an achievement. and it also says the name of the achievement that you actually got. So if I increase the sound just a bit so you can hear the notification thing. I'll also enable the menu so you can see where the stuff comes from. So if you go to options, as you can see, the menu has been generated for you. This has been done by the menu style of FXGL, so you can actually change that or implement your own menu if you want to. Extra trophies. So yeah, this is where it will show the achievement name, and the checkbox is showing that it hasn't been yet achieved. So if we do new game, and if we hit enough enemies, so it will show a notification saying you got an achievement. You can also style your notifications, so it doesn't have to be white and black. It could be any color. It could be any kind of pop-up. It could be displayed in various different places on the screen. By default, it's going to be top. So if we go back to our menu, extras, trophies, as you can see, the Hitman achievement has been achieved. So yeah, it automatically tracks your achievements and stuff. You can also, in options, you have a menu item called Save Data. This will save your controls and your achievements, video and audio controls as well. So the screen size I've chosen, the game size I've chosen doesn't really fit, the menu doesn't really fit, so I'll have to work on that. But apart from this, the underlying system of FXGL is kind of getting powerful by now, so you can create pretty cool stuff, I think. So yeah, just play around with this as always, and yeah, so we've basically created a very simple clone of Space Invaders, or Earth Invaders, if you will. Yeah, thanks for watching.